Hello students, Assalamu alaikum. This is your teacher Considering from a smart school, Sir Syed Ahmed Khan campus. Today in this class we are going to learn about direct and indirect speech that are also called as narration. Means the art of reporting the words of a speaker is called narration. There are two main ways of reporting the words of a speaker. That is, number one is direct speech and the second one is indirect speech. Okay, let's firstly see the rules for direct and indirect speech. In English language, there are two ways of conveying what someone has said. That is direct, which is the quoted speech, and indirect, which is the reported speech. Okay, let's firstly talk about what is direct speech. Direct speech, or you can say is the quoted speech, involves quoting the exact words uttered by the person within inverted commas or quotation mark. Direct speech is divided into two parts, that is, reported verb and reporting speech. Let's see an example to get the clear idea. She said is the reported verb and I saw him is the reporting speech. Okay, let's see some more examples. What is direct speech? Here we have, she said, I won't be coming home tonight. Second is, Tom said, there's a tiger outside the window. Number third, there's a fly in my soup. Screamed John. See, the structure of the sentence is a little bit different, but I will explain it later in detail. That how can you solve it? Number 4, he said, what time will you be home? And I said, I don't know. Note that in this type of speech, a comma is most often used before starting the exact code within the inverted commas. Okay, now let's talk about the indirect speech, which is also called as reported speech. It does not have to be within quotes or reported word to word. Means in this we are not going to quote the exact word of the speaker like we did in the direct speech. In fact, unless one is relying the exact words spoken, one should never use quotation marks. Now let's see reported speech. She said that she had seen him. That is indirect. If you back the video, you see indirect speech we have like she said, inverted commas, I saw him, inverted commas. But how we can change it? We change it into indirect like she said that she had seen him. For example, of indirect speeches are, she told us that she won't be coming home that night. Here's number 2. She told him that she was happy. Number 3. He told me that he was tired. Number 4. She was speaking on the telephone. I hope till here the basic definitions of direct and indirect speeches are clear to you. Now moving forward to our next slide. Okay, here's the important thing that you need to keep in your mind at the time you are solving the direct or indirect speeches. The verb tense necessarily change in reported speech. This is because when we report a speech, we are talking obviously about something that was said in the past. Hence, it's become necessary to use the past tense of the verb. Okay, here are some rules of direct and indirect that can help you to better understand that how can we change the direct speech into indirect. Here we have number 1. Since indirect speech reports what someone else has said, it does not use quotation marks. Number 2. Some pronouns change into indirect speech. Okay, let's see what pronoun changes are make an indirect speech. Here's a list of indirect speech pronouns that are changed in indirect speech, that is subject pronouns. Firstly, we have subject pronoun, that is I, that is changed into he or she. You, that is changed into I, she, he, we, they, and we change into they. Now, let's talk about the objective pronoun, that is me. Me is changed into him or her. You change into him, her, us, them. Us change into them. Now we have the possessive adjectives. That is my change into his, her. You change into my, his, her, our, their. Our change into their. Now we have possessive pronouns, that is mine change into his, hers, yours, mine, his, hers, our, their. Our change into their. Let's talk about the demonstrative pronoun. This change into that and these change into those. Okay, let's move further. Now we talk about the verb change to the past participle form in indirect speech. Changes in reporting verb. Okay, now let's see a list of changing in reported verbs, that how can you change the verb. So here we have direct speech and the other is indirect speech. So firstly, you have to change say to into say to, tell, order, request, ask or advise. You change the says to into says to, tells, order, request, ask or advise. Whether the question is about advice or in the sentence is talk about or giving you an order or ask something for you or give you some advice. If you have says to, you have to change it into says to. If you have will say to, it will change into will say to, will order, will request, will ask. Said to change into told, said to change into request, ask, advise, ordered, forbid, urge or remark, or you can say commanded, inquire, suggested, proposed, or you can say explain with joy, explain with sorrow. Whether you change the verb according to this sentence, that what kind of sentence is that, is the order situation or it's a request making sentence, or someone has said to you something or someone is giving you an advice. It depends on the, you can say, the structure of the sentence. You change accordingly to it. Okay, did you see the major difference, that says to change into says to, but said to is changed into told. You must keep this point in your mind at the time when you are solving this. It will help you a lot if you learn or try to memorize it as much as you can. Subject pronouns. Let's see the list of subject pronouns that are changed into indirect. Here we have a list of subject pronouns that are changed from direct into indirect are now change into then, here change into there, hereafter change into thereafter, this change into that, these change into those, ago change into before, those change into so, today change into that day, tonight change into that night, last night change into that previous night, yesterday change into the day before, or you can say the previous day, tomorrow change into the next day or the following day, next week change into the week after or the following week. You can choose any one. Next one, change into a month after. Last month change into the month before, or you can say the previous month. Hence change into thence. Okay, so now here's the main thing that you must memorize it. That is the changes in tenses. I know that you are confused that what changes we have to make in tenses. So don't worry, here we have a list of it. Let's see. Okay, if you see the chart on the screen, direct, and on the right side we have the indirect. Firstly, we have present simple. Present simple tense are going to convert into indirect speech in past simple. Okay, and the like in present simple tense you use s or es. Okay, but if you talk about the past, you have to use the second form of verb. Like the same, we have present continuous and direct. If you have present continuous, that means is, am, are, or first form of verb plus ing is using. You have to convert the sentence into past continuous. You have to convert the is, am, are into was or were. Okay, now we have the third one, that is past simple. Okay, past simple is simply converted into past perfect. Like past simple we had second form of verb, and in past perfect we had in the sentence plus third form of verb. Present perfect will convert into past perfect. In present perfect we have has and have plus third form of verb, and in past perfect we have had plus third form of verb. Like the same, present perfect continuous will change into past perfect continuous. Like in present perfect continuous we have has, have plus been plus first form of verb plus ing. So it will convert into past perfect continuous, that is we use had plus been plus first form of verb plus ing because it is a continuous form. Okay, now if we talk about the future, we rarely use the future tenses and the direct and indirect speeches, but if you have the case, you have to use the future tense. So here we have, if you have will, it will change into would. Okay, and can change into could, shall change into should, may change into might, must change into had to, and have to change into had to, and the imperative sentence change into infinitive. I know that you are confused at what is imperative sentence now. So here's the definition. Imperative sentences are used to issue a command or instruction, to make a request, or you can say to offer advice. Basically, they tell pupil what to do. Okay? Here, let me give you some examples so you get the better idea. For example, Pass me the salt. Or move out of my way. Shut the front door. Clean your room. Here you see it giving us the order, or you can say some here giving us the advice, or sometimes it make request. So all these kind of sentences are under the imperative. Now let's talk about the infinitive. Infinitive is a verb that actually functions as a noun or adjective or adverb in order to express an opinion, or you can say the purpose of an object or action. Or you can say answer the question who, what, or why. Here's the example. I love to sleep. To help others is so important. Here you see the examples. Now I hope it's clear to you the difference between the imperative and the infinitive sentence. Now let's move further and talk about more of direct and indirect in detail. Okay, we have the example exercise for you so you get the better idea. Let's see. Okay, now see on their screens. Here on the left side we have direct speech and on the right we have the indirect speech. Firstly, let's see the example of present simple sentence. He said, I live in the city center. Now indirect, it changed into he said, I changed into he lived, because present simple changed into past, lived in the city center. The rest of the sentence remain the same. Now the second sentence is present continuous. He said, I am going out. I am is the continuous form, okay. In present continuous we use ismer, okay, and the ing form. So here we have he said, I am going out. Whenever we remove the commas we can use that as well. So but here we have the simple sentences, so there is no need to put that in it. We can simply change it into indirect form. Here he said, I change into he, I am. Here we have I am. Now it changed into was because present continuous changed into past continuous. He was going out. Okay. Present continuous changed into past continuous. Now let's see the example of present perfect. He said, I have finished. In present perfect we use has and have, okay. So but in past we have to use had. So here we say he said, I have changed into he had finished. He said he had finished. Now present perfect continuous. Let's talk about it. Now the present perfect continuous will change into past perfect continuous. You have to keep the previous rule which we have already read in your mind, that how can you solve these sentences, okay. It will give you the clear idea, or you provide you the easy way to do it in a quick way. So here we have the sentence. He said, I have been studying a lot. Have plus been plus ing form, that's the structure of present perfect continuous. Okay, now it will change into past perfect continuous, like he said, I have changed into, I changed into he have changed into had been studying a lot. Now let's see the sentence of past simple. How we can convert the sentence past simple into, we change this past simple into past perfect, okay. Now here we have he said, I arrived before you. In past we always use the second form of verb, so I arrived before you. Okay, now we have to change it into past perfect. What we have to add in it? That had should be add over here. He said, I change into he arrived. He had arrived before you. He said, I arrived before you. Change into he said, he had arrived before you. Now, the past perfect will remain the same. Okay, there will be no changes made in the past perfect. He said, I had already left. Now, what changes can be made over here? That I change into he. He said, he had already left. Now, if you see the sentence, he said, I will be there at 2 p.m. Here we have the sentence of future simple because if you see in the sentence, there is a will. Okay, will only come in future sentences. He said, I will be there at 2 p.m. Okay, now how we can convert the future simple sentence? Now here's a trick we have learned before, that will change into would. Okay, so the sentence will become like this. He said, I change into he, and will change into would be there at 2 p.m. Okay, now how we can convert the going to be sentences into indirect speech? Here's a trick. He said, I am going to call Ellen. Now how we can convert it? He said, I change into he. I am over here change into past tense, that is was or were. So he was going to call Ellen. Okay, here we have the modal verb sentences. Number 1 is the sentence of can. That is, she said, I can swim. How can we change it into indirect? She said, I change into she, can change into could. She could swim. The rest of the sentence will remain the same. We have only changed the I and can. I change into she and can change into could. Now let's see another example. She said, I must go. She said remain the same. I change into she. I must go, must change into had to. She said she had to go. Now she said, I may drive there. May change into might. She said, I change into she. May change into might. She said she might drive there. Now shall will change into should. She said, shall we start? That's a question. She asks. Okay, see how we can change the reporting verb. So she said, shall we start? So she asks from us that how or when we start, when we have to start. So we change the sentence like she said into she asks. If we should start, shall change into should start. Okay, I hope you all getting it. We have already discussed the chart that how can we change the reporting verb or the pronouns in indirect speeches. Okay, so here we have the last one. She said, I will call you. She said, I will change into she, and will change into would. Call, you will change into me. Okay, she said she would call me. Okay, let's do some practice example to get the more clear idea how can we change the direct into indirect speech. So here we have the example number 1, that is, Kiran asks me, did you see the cricket match on television last night? That's the question. Okay, now we have the option number 1 is, Kiran asks me whether I saw the cricket match on television the early night. Number B, Kiran asks me whether I had seen the cricket match on television the early night. Number C is Kiran asks me, did I see the cricket match on television the last night? Now, on fourth, Kiran asked me whether I had seen the cricket match on television the last night. Okay, now how can you find out the correct answer? Well, if you see the question that Kiran asked me, did you? Did is the past tense, okay? Did use in past tense. Did you see the cricket match on television last night? So past tense will always change into past perfect. So it will change into past perfect. Now over here we have the past perfect in the option number B. Kiran asked me whether I had seen the cricket match on television the early night. See, I had. Okay, I hope it's clear to you. Now, let's see one more example. That is, David said to Anna, Mona will leave for her native place tomorrow. Here, they use will, and will represent the future tense. So, what's the answer? Let's see the options. Here we have number A is David told Amna that Mona will leave for her native place tomorrow. Next we have B, that is David told Amna that Mona left for her native place the next day. Number 3, David told Amna that Mona will be leaving for her native place tomorrow. And the last one is David told Amna that Mona will leave for her native place the next day. So the number 4th one is correct. Why? Because if you see in the main sentence that David said to Amna, what David said to Amna, that Mona will leave for her native place tomorrow. So will change into would, and tomorrow will change into the next day. Okay. Now let's see the example number 3. I said to him, why are you working so hard? Here's the option number 1. I asked him why he was working so hard. Number B, I asked him why was he working so hard. Here we have number C, I asked him why had he been working so hard. Option number D, I had asked him why he had been working so hard. So what's the correct answer? Here's in the question, I said to him, why are you working so hard? Okay, so it will change into, over here we have the present continuous in the question form. Okay, that is are. Okay, is and are used into continuous form, and the working is continuous, the ing form. So how can we convert it? We convert it into the past tense. That is, I asked him, said to change into asked because of the question form. I asked him why, are change into with the first person, that is I, are change into with I. So he was, because over here we have him. So why he was working so hard. I hope that you all getting it, that what is direct and what is indirect, and how can you convert them from direct into indirect speech, or from indirect to direct speech. I hope the topic is clear to you. See you in the next class. Allah Hafiz.